I've told you now, I grew up around cops my whole life. My grandfather was a cop. My dad was a cop. My oldest brother was a cop. Most of my best friends in the south side of Chicago were cops. And they're, again, it just goes to show you that they're good. They're all nice to me because they knew me, right? And I've always said cops are a half turn away of the screw from being criminals. A lot of them are criminals. They'll do lots of criminal things. That's what they're attracted to it. That's why they're attracted to policing. And so what are we finding out in LA County is that the LA County panel launches an investigation into sheriff deputy gangs. Really? Is the investigation to find out why the sheriff well, hang on. The Civilian Commission that oversees the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department is launching an independent investigation into deputy gangs that have been operated for decades. Ooh, there's a clique. A clique. That's like a fancy French gang. La clique de députage. Right? Here we go. The move represents a major step in the efforts to scrutinize deputy cliques that have existed inside the department for decades and have been linked to allegations of violence and corruption. The investigation will be conducted by a team of heavyweight attorneys working pro bono, including at least 6 former federal prosecutors and 2 former federal public defenders. Sean Kennedy, chair of the Sheriff Civilian Oversight Commission, told the Times. Kennedy said the lawyers plan to hold public hearings and subpoena witnesses to testify under oath. That's the plan. The goal is to find out in the next 6 months where the groups operate in the sheriff's department and what impact they have on policing. Yes, we must somehow figure out the impact of police deputies forming violent gangs. Maybe it will turn out really positive. We won't know for 6 months. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Samuel Aldama admitted as part of a lawsuit this year that he has a skull tattoo on his calf associated with the Compton station where he worked. The photo of his tattoo emerged in the lawsuit. The department has a long history with deputy tattoos that officials say represent cliques that promote overly aggressive policing. Uh-oh. Clique tattoos are a sign of clique activity. Mm-hmm. And there it is. LA County deputy alleges executioner gang dominates Compton Sheriff Station. Really? Well, push me over with a feather. The Oversight Commission was formed in 2016 after the corruption and brutality in the jails led to multiple indictments of sheriff deputies. Its members are appointed by supervisors, with 5 nominated by the supervisors and the other 4 recommended by community groups. Oh, really? A study commissioned by the LA County found last year that 16% of the 1,608 deputies and supervisors who anonymously answered survey questions had been invited to join a clique, with some invitations having come in the last 5 years. More than a third of respondents said the groups should be prohibited. Can we stop calling it a clique? Can we just stop doing that already? Stop calling it a clique. What the fuck? But some criticized the report for offering an incomplete portrayal of the problem because deputies were not compelled to participate in the survey, and only about 1 out of every 6 deputies responded. Those who did participate were not asked if they ever belonged to a group. Oh. So if you want to be the one to tell the executioners, they got to fill out a survey. That's what they got to do. Okay, I got you. Earlier this week, the top watchdog for the sheriff's department said he had identified more than 40 alleged members of gang-like group. Oh, God, thank God. Where I come from, if it walks like a gang and calls itself the executioners, it's a clique. In a letter dated Monday, Inspector General Max Huntsman said his office has compiled a partial list that includes 11 deputies who allegedly belong to the Banditos, which operate out of the East LA Sheriff's Department station, and 30 alleged executioners from the Compton Sheriff Station. The Banditos, they call themselves the Banditos, as in murderous thieves, which I thought is supposed to be the opposite of police. I think they even stole the name from a biker gang. Who can the Banditos report it to? The executioners. That's who. Okay. Sheriff Alex Villanueva has downplayed the problems with the groups, but has also taken credit for addressing them by instituting a policy that prohibits deputies from joining groups that promote behavior violating the rights of... Oh, they've instituted a policy. Well, isn't we instituted a policy, said you can't do that. Wow, they've instituted a policy. He's downplayed the problem. I don't blame him for downplaying the problem. He probably doesn't want to get visited by the executioners. Sheriff Villanueva demands Los Angeles County leaders stop using the term deputy gangs and start saying cliques. Is that what he's saying? You're trying to get me killed? You're trying to get me killed? I have a family. The Guardian, we are terrorized. LA sheriffs frequently harass families of people they kill, says the report. Jesus Christ. You know, I never even heard of the Crips and the Bloods doing that. Terrorizing the families of the people that they killed. They're like, sure, we might hit your family by accident in a drive-by, but once we get our guy, we don't harass the family. That's called morals. So the Crips and the Blood have more morals than the LA sheriffs. Not surprising. LA sheriff's deputy knelt on an inmate's head for 3 minutes. Officials tried to cover it up. This is from March 25th of this year. This is from just the other day. Okay? It's offensive and inaccurate to compare LA County sheriff deputies to gang members. Gang members risk consequences when they break the law. Nice tweet, No Hat. Nicely done. That's right. It is offensive and inaccurate to compare the executioners to gang members because, there comes the punchline, because they are actually gang members. All right. So there you go. The LA sheriff are criminal thugs. Really? How many videotapes do you need to see that show that most cops, given the situation, are, of course, going to be criminal abusers? And again, I'm not saying we need to get rid of cops. What I'm saying is we need to change completely the way we police in America. And we need to have it come. So right now, you hire a police chief. The police chief now dictates to the city how he's going to police. We're going to start ramping up this. We're going to start focusing on this kind of crime. We're going to put emphasis on that crime. That's not how it's supposed to work. What's supposed to work, how it's supposed to work, is that the police come to the community and say, how do you want us to handle these problems? How do you want us to handle truancy? How do you want us to handle curfew violations? How do you want us to handle alcohol violations for minors? How do you want us to police you? That's not how it happens. Well, how it happens now is a mayor appoints a police chief, and a police chief tells you how you're going to be policed. And then they hire a bunch of fucking maniacs who are on the edge already or got trained to kill in other countries, which is the opposite of policing. And then they fill their, and again, if you don't succumb to, so you're telling me, Jimmy, everybody who wants to join the police are bad criminal-like people? No, what I'm telling you is that the culture of police is a criminal culture of no consequences at all, right? And there's never any accountability. And so that breeds criminality, brutality, and unaccountability. And if you don't succumb to that culture, you leave. So there's two kinds of cops who succumb to the cop culture or the cops who quit. There's no in the middle. Okay. And that's not happening. By the way, they're not going to ever redo the way they police because the police aren't there to help you. They're there to protect capitalism and their property, which is why cops often break up union strikes, shit like that. Whenever there's a protest against imperialism or whatever it is, the cops are there to crack your head. They don't ever join you. And so that's the work of the activists, have to convince the cops that they have more in common with the protesters than they do with the oligarchs who hired them. They're never going to do that because the cops are predisposed to hate the activists and side with their oligarchs. That's why they were chosen for that job. Okay, over to Steph.
You know, Jimmy, I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you recall the Rampart scandal.
Yes.
So the Rampart scandal, I just picked up, I'm looking at Wikipedia, and they said the Rampart investigation based mainly on statements of admitted corrupt crash officer. Of those officers, there were more than 70 police officers either assigned or associated with the Rampart crash unit, implicated in various forms of misconduct, including unprovoked shootings, unprovoked beatings, planting of false evidence, stealing, dealing narcotics, bank robbery, perjury, and the covering up of evidence of this. The scandal constituted one of the most widespread cases of documented police corruption in U.S. history. Guess how much money the LA had to pay out for this?
$20 million.
$125 million
Wow.
in settlements. So that's the people of LA that pay that, right?
Pay that, not the cops.
Not the
It
cops.
doesn't come from the cops' pension fund. It doesn't come from the cops' whatever fund. It comes from the taxpayers of Los Angeles, which is why cops have no accountability.
So $125 million in settlement. Get this. As of 2022, the full extent of Rampart's corruption is not known, and several rape, homicide, robbery investigations involving Rampart officers remain unsolved. Now get this. Some people were able to resign. Some people still got their retirement.
Yes. That's right.
All right, back to Jimmy.
Please include what Steph just said in that video, in the segment along about the LA sheriff, because that's very important stuff she said. Hey, we're doing our live stand-up tour. We're going to be in Orlando. We're going to be in Tampa, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, much, much more. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets. And you can come see our shows in Los Angeles, too. We do one weekly. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com and become a premium member while you're there. Get all the extra content. Thank you.